Political structures are not bureaucratic formalities. They are the heartbeat of any serious political organization. They provide clarity, coordination, and continuity. In practical terms, structures help define who does what, from the lowest cell to the highest office of the party. But without structures, a party is just a loose network of people with good intentions but little to no staying power. Structures are not red tape, they are survival. Welcome to today's episode of the Statesman Podcast, which is a triangulation of three issues. We are tackling three critical interlinked questions. Why political structures are essential in a political party? Can opposition parties survive infiltration, especially under authoritarian regimes like Zimbabwe? And how structures defend a party against infiltration? This is very important and pivotal since the main argument put forward for avoiding structures by the most significant opposition, probably the only significant opposition politics leader in Zimbabwe, Nelson Chamisa, was to avoid infiltration. Now, in this episode, I am going to show that structures actually achieve the opposite. So let's get into it. And by the way, my name is Nelson Machka and I am your host. So a few weeks ago, I did an episode where I detailed why Chamisa has become a politician averse to structures, which may have been a justification from where he stands, and understandably so. So today's episode is the flip side of that episode. It is common cause. I hope people would understand that Nelson Chamisa's actions ought to attract attention, and for emphasis, I am going to use Triple C as a case study. So why do structures matter? Number one, I would like to submit to you that structures matter because they provide clarity of roles and responsibilities. Structures define who does what from the grassroots to the national leadership, avoids duplication of effort and internal confusion. They help in building a leadership pipeline by creating clear pathways for identifying, grooming, and elevating leaders through defined roles, responsibilities, and processes. A person doesn't just start by being a national treasurer. People should start from cells. They go to districts. From district, they go to provinces, and then they'll be elevated to national. Right. Then there's an issue of accountability and internal democracy, which is my second point. Now think about it. Without the structures, who holds the leader accountable? Who organizes party elections? Who ensures fair representation across regions and across demographics? Demographics is to say youth, women, men, graduates, etc., etc. So structures prevent a party from becoming a one-man band or worse, a personality cult. That they do help enforce discipline. Further to that, when there are rules and chains of command, it becomes easier to deal with rogue elements or internal disputes. Political parties that lack discipline often implode under pressure, especially in environments as tough as Zimbabwe's political environment. Zimbabwe's political environment it's no jokes, I tell you. It's very tough. If you ever been in an environment where probably I can use the term normal, where the political environment is normal, the election is free, it's credible. Political parties, they engage in political activities without being threatened or without being bottlenecked. You understand how tough it is to run a political party in Zimbabwe, especially an opposition political party in Zimbabwe. It's not kids' play, it's not children's play. It's really a matter of life and death. Now, point number 3, organizational discipline and cohesion. Now, structures, they help maintain unity and discipline, especially during difficult times like during elections, internal disputes, moments of external attacks. This is mainly because a structured part, it has a clear chain of command. It has a central database. It has pre-established strategy teams at every level, ward, district, provincial. This means that when election day comes, for instance, everyone knows their role within the party. Votes are protected by trained party agents. Results are monitored, and rigging attempts are documented and challenged in a very organized way. But without structures, in 2023, Triple C fielded double candidates in some constituencies, partly due to internal disorganization. Some people submitted nomination papers allegedly without the leader's knowledge. And they really were taking chances, and unintendedly or intendedly they caused confusion in doing so. You know, the confusion that resulted, not confusion per se, but probably Berikamwana did not produce the results that some candidates felt confident in. So as a result, they felt like, okay, the results of this process, they do not represent probably the true support that I have within the party. So if I go aside of the party and present my nomination papers and participate in this election, I believe I have more people than the one who has won the election. And that caused serious headaches for the leadership of Triple C. Case in point, I think there was a guy called Michael Masari Revu, something like that, from, I think, Chitungwisa, thereabout. This is just one example of what happened. A candidate had lost during Berikamwana. When the candidate lost during Berikamwana, he went and still presented himself to the Zimbabwe Election Commission, I believe, to say, I represent the party. At the end of the day, there were two candidates. But some of those candidates, probably there are allegations that it was the actions of the Forever Associate Zimbabwe. It's an association which ran or which administered ZANU-PF's elections, the campaign and the actual election day, on the actual election day. So you may never know which is which. But the party ought to do what it has to do to protect itself and to make sure that it shields itself against such malicious activities, either from its own members or from outsiders, from external attacks. So the party failed also to deploy polling agents to all stations, and this compromised its ability to defend the vote. And that resulted in disarray, disputed outcomes of the election, and there was no coordinated legal response. You really couldn't tell which is which, who is leading the teams. Legal teams, seems like there were many legal teams which represented the Triple C, and you couldn't tell who is leading this legal response. Because you have got Obey something is also a lawyer. I forgot the surname. He is also leading a team, and I think there was also a team which was coming from within the party, which was led by my friend Agent Gumbo. So you couldn't tell really which is which was a bit more confusing, right? So the lack of structure, it cost the opposition seats before the voting even began. That was before even the voting began. And number 4, I would say, during internal disputes, structures offer formal dispute resolution. With the structures, a part with the disciplinary committees and the codes of conduct can resolve conflicts internally. Disgruntled members can appeal through formal channels. Disputes are not fought on Twitter or in court. They are handled in-house, keeping the party united. Without the structures, you have got people like chancers like Chabangu. Sengezo declared himself as the interim Secretary General of the Triple C and recorded dozens of elected MPs. We did an episode on Sengezo Chabangu. You can check it out on the list of the videos that we did. The party had not documented the national executive. And there was no constitution in public domain. So there were no formal structures to prove he was lying. So he took advantage of that. And the constitution itself, it must not be a private document. A constitution is a public document. It should be accessible to every member, to any member of the party. And such document was not there. But when the court cases started, there was a constitution which was submitted to the court and to parliament to say, this is the constitution. The one that Chavangu is representing is not the constitution that we are using. So the courts ruled in the favor of Chavangu because the CCC couldn't demonstrate who officially held power in the party. But I am not blaming 100% on all the disorganization of CCC. The system itself, ZANU-PF, through the use of Chavangu, they took advantage of the system and the capture of the systems of the state apparatus, your legislature, your parliament, to get this through. So the outcome of this was massive infighting. There was expulsion of elected members of parliament. You had issues to do with weakening of parties' presence in parliament through that, and also public confusion. So number 5, I would say, during external attacks, structures enable quick, coordinated responses. Because with structures, when a party is attacked by the state, when a party is attacked by the state, e.g. arrests, bans, even through propaganda, strong structures, they allow for coordinated legal response. The mobilization of supporters for solidarity, central messaging to the media and the public. This helps keeps morale high and the party focused. But without structures, after the CCC recalls and by-elections, there was no central spokesperson, no unified communication strategy. For the longest time, we knew it was Fazema Mayere in Ostalos, always the spokesperson of the party. Then for some reasons, which I don't think were communicated to the public or to the supporters of CCC, and then all of a sudden he's promising Mparanzi, a very divisive figure and a confusing figure as well. Also deputized again by Ostalos. So that was also, it didn't work to the best interest of the party. Different voices, they claimed to speak for the movement, and that confused supporters and it weakened solidarity within the party. The regime capitalized on this to portray CCC as disorganized and a leaderless group of people. But the bottom line is, structures is equivalent to survival. They reduce vulnerability to infiltration. They keep people loyal and accountable. They allow the party to act as a government in waiting, not as a WhatsApp group reacting to events. Now, this takes us to the second part of today's episode, which is, can an opposition political party ever prevent infiltration by spies in an authoritarian context, which Zimbabwe is? So no opposition party, I think, can completely prevent infiltration, especially under authoritarian regimes. But it can mitigate, it can detect, and it can neutralize it through solid structures, internal discipline, and strategic counterintelligence. Why infiltration is inevitable under authoritarian rule? Number 1, state resources. Ruling parties, they have access to national security institutions. For example, your Central Intelligence Organization and the military intelligence. And they can fund infiltration operations. I remember in 2019, I think there was a conference of the MDC Alliance somewhere in Guera, I think. So I had this colleague of mine who was and who is an operative of the Central Intelligence Organization. It's not only one. They attended. It was quite a number of them. They attended that conference, and a few of them, they were actually elected into positions within the party. And these are CIA operations. They didn't go there as loyal members of the party, but they went there as a part of the operations of the state. So infiltration is not really easy to prevent. It's, even with solid structures, it's unpreventable, but you can mitigate its impact. Then secondly, lack of legal protections. There is no protection for opposition parties in Zimbabwe. The state may encourage, fund, and also protect infiltrators. Then number three, issue of economic desperation. In societies like in Zimbabwe, people can be bought easily due to poverty. There is poverty in Zimbabwe. People are poor. There are no opportunities for growth. So political actors are susceptible to bribes, intimidation, or blackmail. In politics, you call it the carrot and stick. So you are presented with two things, the carrot or the stick. So the carrot, we are dangling you a bribe to say, if you are going to do A, B, C, D for us, we are going to give you this much, this amount of money is there. We are going to give you a seat in the National Assembly. You see today, Senator Chavangu, Chavangu is the senator, is a member of the National Assembly. We do A, B, C, and D for you. On the other hand, if you do not play ball, we have got cases of you did A, B, C, and D. Probably you did, or probably they can tell you that we can create something for you. So sometimes they give you an opportunity to accept or not. Sometimes you're not given an opportunity at all. The opportunities, the option that you are given is either to accept and you win through personal benefits, or you decline. And when you decline, you face what we call sanctions. Sanctions not in terms of America sanctioning Zimbabwe or South Africa, but sanctions in terms of you are going to harm you in these ways. So it's very easy to access opposition players in Zimbabwe because of poverty in the country. So how do lack of structures increase vulnerability to infiltration? When everything revolves around one leader, infiltrators only need to target that one person. I want you to hear me on this one. This is very key. When you do not have structures and you have got one person who is the lead person on everything, that person is the strategist, that person is the president of the party, that person is probably the main spokesperson of the party, that person receives money for the organization, for funding the organization. What happens is, when everything revolves around that one leader, infiltrators, they don't need to target anyone, they only target one person. And that exposes the person. So if it is Nelson Chamisa, they only need to target how many people? Just one, Nelson Chamisa, and the organization is done. How difficult can it be to target one person, to succeed in your targeting of that one person? It can't be difficult, it's not difficult. So distributed leadership, it makes the organization very harder to hijack. You heard Chavangu, you would say, our president is Nelson Chamisa, but I am the Secretary General. And the party cannot come out and say, no, you are not the Secretary General. Then who is the Secretary General? No one. We all knew that guy when Nelson Chamisa had already communicated to say, our party does not have that office. But Chavangu came out and said, I am what? I am the interim. But the president, Nelson Chamisa, is our president. He did not deny the president of Nelson Chamisa. He definitely admitted to it that he is the president, but I am the acting Secretary General. So leave him with this position, that's fine. But he can't defend every other position which officially does not exist. And there is no publicly available constitution to say, yes, Chavangu is what he is claiming to be, or he is not. But for a fact, everyone knows that the only position that we know is Nelson Chamisa's position. We don't know any other position, probably, and the position of spokespersons, the two spokespersons. Outside of that, no one is a position. So Chavangu could come out and say, okay, this is who I am. And the party has no constitution to claim that, no, you are not, or any other non-leadership. So that's a problem. And disputed leadership, it helps, makes the organization very harder to hijack. Now, secondly, how do structures protect the party from infiltration? Number one, define roles and responsibilities. When a party is structured, every member has a specific role with clear duties and reporting lines. It becomes easier to detect unusual behavior, non-compliance, or sabotage. Infiltrators struggle to blend in because they must consistently perform real tasks and contribute to party goals. Secondly, vetting and membership verification. Structured parties have formal membership processes, including background checks or referrals. You've got issues to do with recruitment protocols through lower structures, e.g. the wards and the districts. ID verification, code of conduct, and sometimes ideological tests also. It makes it harder for infiltrators to penetrate without scrutiny. Example, ZANU-PF's ward cells or Triple C citizens assemblies, they know their local members, personally making it very easy to spot outsiders. In 2020, I was sponsoring miners at a mine in the Midlands, in Kwekwe. So the part was owned by Owen Muda Nube, that mine. So that mine, the people that worked there, a lot of them, or most of them, officially all of them, there was an of people. Everyone from the ladies who would be doing milling, everyone to Makrogosas going into the mine, all of them, there was an OPF people, they were known as an OPF people. And it was a lot of people, the membership ran into thousands at that mine, Globe and Phoenix mine. So I went there, went inside, started sponsoring some Makrogosas. They would come out and then would go into a fence where milling was done. And then I do that oftenly, Monday to Friday I'm there, Monday to Friday I'm there, Monday to Friday, sometimes Saturdays. Sundays were always my day offs. I go to church and stuff like that. So they were seeing me, but they didn't know me. This guy, we don't even know this person in our structures. And this guy is sponsoring here. Who is this guy? We may have an infiltrator here. So one of the security guys, a lead security guy, came to me and said, he never asked anything. He just said, can I see your phone? You can't just have someone's phone like that without a court order and stuff like that, or a police clearance to do that. But since you're in a private property of people, sometimes you just have to avoid a lot of drama. You just have to comply. So I gave him my phone, and he said, I have my password. Then I gave him my password. So he went to my WhatsApp thread, trying to look if he can find information linking me to anything to do with infiltration. And then he didn't see anything really. The only thing that he saw, what he actually saw was probably more to do with me being more ZANU-PF than being more Triple C. And some of the people that he actually saw their contacts there, they were actually some very top people that he saw. Very top people that he can't even approach. And they were there in my phone, because I was doing some work with the government and stuff like that. So it was some very senior people that he doesn't even have their contacts to. Then I was like, oh, okay. So this is how ZANU-PF is very careful about being infiltrated. And I'm afraid that the same may not be the case when it comes to opposition political parties in Zimbabwe. Then we have got another issue of layered reporting and surveillance within a political party. So with strong structures, information flows from bottom to top, or from top to bottom. Regional and national offices, they monitor local branches. Anonymous tip-off systems can exist for reporting suspicious activity, and structures, they create multiple checkpoints to catch infiltration early. And then number 4, regular internal audits and demobilization reviews. Structured parties, they conduct regular audits, both financial and organizational, which also means memberships. Mobilization reviews, they verify attendance, engagement, and allegiance. If someone is inactive or sabotaging from within, it can be flagged early. Number 5, in that regard, is political education and ideological training. Now, structures, they often provide continuous political education through workshops, through reading materials, through internal media channels. It can be your WhatsApp groups and whatnot. So infiltrators they often lack ideological grounding. This becomes evident during debates, campaigns, or crises, and those people that are not always accessible when you need them. Now imagine these colleagues that I knew who had been elected into the party structures, because this is not their full-time role. They have got other obligations to carry. And these people, you definitely won't find them in many of the party functions. They won't be available. It's an easier way to detect who is an infiltrator and who is not. So there's also an issue of disciplinary committees and ethics codes. Strong structures, they include internal disciplinary systems, consequences for unethical behavior or leaking information, tribunals to investigate internal sabotage, fear of consequences, deters opportunists and infiltrators. Decentralization also prevents capture of entire party. If the party is centralized, is decentralized and is layered, capturing one region or a department doesn't mean capturing the whole party. Power is not concentrated in one node or in one person or in one office. Infiltrators would need to penetrate multiple levels, which is logistically difficult to do. And without structures, loyalty is very hard to track. Leaders can be easily compromised. So, to finish up or to conclude, I would say in politics, infiltration is a given, especially when you're fighting an authoritarian regime. The real question is, are you structured and disciplined enough to survive it? That is what separates movements that inspire from parties that endure. Political structures are not some dusty relic from the past. They are the living skeleton of any party that hopes to outlive a leader and outwit the ruling party or the ruling elite. Without them, a party is just vibes, slogans, and chaos waiting to happen. Can you prevent infiltration in an authoritarian state? Here is the truth. You can't fully stop infiltration, not in a system like Zimbabwe's, where the ruling party has access to intelligence agencies, the courts, the police, and unlimited dirty money. But you can contain it, you can expose it, and most importantly, you can survive it. That's it for today's episode. If you find this useful, share it with someone who cares about Zimbabwe's future. Comment below. Can the opposition rebuild itself on a solid ground, or is the structuralist approach a ticking time bomb? Let's have that conversation. Thank you for watching. Take care.